Hello. Today I am having a type of wrap. So I sometimes call this like a Chinese burrito. Um, this one's a little more like a kind of wrap than a burrito. It's kind of open at the end. It's some of them look more like an actual like Western style burrito. Some of them are more like this. Um, it's called so there's a type of meat called luro, which means like boiled meat. Well, not boiled, stewed. It's a type of like stewing of meat, like braising and stewing. Um, and so this is called a luro jwar. It's fairly common. It's kind of a street food type thing. You get like a flat pancake kind of thing. Um, some of them are thinner, some are thicker. This is a pretty thick one, and then it'll have some veggies. This has like some cilantro and I think some maybe some lettuce in it. Um, oh, it looks like it's got some strips of potato. And then I'll have pieces of this meat. It's sort of like a braised pork. Um, with a sort of braised in like a sauce. The sauce can vary quite drastically depending on the specific restaurant. Um, this restaurant is actually quite different flavor from most of the other ones I've had. I've never ordered from here before. I just got this to try it, and it's the taste of this braising liquid is pretty different than a lot of the other ones I've had of the same kind of style of dish. Um, but it still tastes pretty good. It's typically some kind of a salty, savory, and spicy combination. So this one has quite a bit of cumin flavor. Um, some other ones I've had more like just like spicy pepper flavor or just kind of meat broth kind of flavor. Um, and then also this has strips of dried tofu called gan豆腐丝. So it's a way of like making these sheets of dried tofu and then they slice them up into strips. It's used in a lot of kinds of salads and fillings for things like this. So this is a fairly common kind of thing that you might get at like a little street cart as a breakfast. You would probably wouldn't get this, like you probably wouldn't have this at home for breakfast, but like if you're on the go, like headed to work and you have to pick up breakfast in a little street cart, you could find something like this. There's a lot of other things in this region that are more popular. This isn't particularly popular here. In other parts of China, it's a little more popular. But usually there'll at least be a couple of restaurants around that you can get this kind of dish at. And they can vary pretty drastically. Like I said, this is more like kind of a loose wrap. I've had ones that were like tightly rolled, look just like a Western style burrito. And it can be anything kind of in between those two. Typically, the filling will be this kind of braised meat, luro, and then some kinds of veggies, usually some cucumber, some kind of a sauce that they have with it. Um, some places will put lettuce. This dried tofu is pretty common. It doesn't usually have that many. It'll usually many fillings. It'll usually have like at most like 4 or 5 different things mixed together inside. But it's a pretty good. I like to get it as a lunch item. It's kind of an easy thing to get and just eat it. Eat it. You can hold it in your hand and eat it. It's fairly filling, but it's not like a. It's not a huge meal. This restaurant, I didn't order this, but they also sent it to me anyway, so I guess I'll go ahead and show it. They sent me this. This is called Joe. So, Joe is the Chinese word for porridge. And this looks to be a corn Joe. So Joe can be made with rice or with corn or with any kind of grain, just like Western porridge can be made with anything. So this is probably the closest to in style to like American style grits. If you just cook them with a little too much water and let it be too runny. So this is a very liquidy kind of thing. Whereas like American style grits, we tend to use less water and cook it thicker. But it's made with the same kind of cornmeal. So I'll often buy, I like American style grits. I'll often buy the ground corn that they use for this Joe and then just cook it the way we do in the West, and it makes like pretty decent like Western style grits. They tend to grind it a little finer, so it's not like coarse ground grits. It's very finely ground grits, but you can basically make it. It ends up being a little more like maybe polenta if you cook it with less water. But it's just this Joe is a very common breakfast food here, and you get all kinds of different ones. There's the most popular ones are probably millet, rice, and corn. But there's all kinds of other ones they have. Like there's barley ones and ones with wheat in it, and just all kinds of different ones. And also they put all kinds of different stuff in it. This is a plain one, so it doesn't have anything added in. But a lot of times they'll add in bits of meat, bits of vegetables. A common thing is to add in little bits of egg. Specifically, there's a type of egg called pidon. P means like skin, and pidon has like a black exterior. It's like a preserved egg that has a black exterior. And they'll chop that up into fine little bits, little maybe like just like this kind of size bits, and then sprinkle a few bits in. It's kind of used as a seasoning. That's called pidon Joe. That's a pretty popular style of preparing this Joe porridge. Like I said, I didn't order this. They just sent me that extra along with the wrap. It's a fairly like simple thing. Like, you know, this is super cheap for them, so they can just send it along. It makes me feel like I got a better meal, and it doesn't really cost them anything. It's quite bland. It's not particularly seasoned that much. I may go grab some salt and pepper and season it up a bit after the video. Typically, Joe is not in the Chinese mind. It's not meant to be a particularly flavorful thing. It's just kind of a watery thing that you just drink at breakfast. And then you can add some stuff on top of it that might have flavor with it. But often, if I'm having it in a place where you have access to various seasonings and things, I'll throw some salt in, throw some like ground black pepper in or something like that. It also, having grown up with sort of thick porridges like American style grits and oatmeal and things like this, and cream of wheat, like very thick porridges. The Chinese style of like super watery porridge is a little weird to me. So like it can like have it definitely kind of I wouldn't usually order this on its own. But if it comes with something, I don't mind eating it. I'll just like season it up a little bit to make it taste a little better. Really what I wanted was just this wrap. But it's pretty common for delivery restaurants here, if they've got some kind of item that's doesn't really cost them that much, you often get little bonus. They'll throw little bonuses in that it's like, oh, here you get a free bowl of this porridge, or you get a free box of apple juice, or something. They'll throw in little freebies that don't really cost them anything, but make you feel like they're got better customer service. I think basically this is a very good example of how cuisines from various places tend to just reuse a lot of the same things. So all of the stuff that's inside of this wrap is stuff that I've featured in previous videos where I talked about it. I've had previous videos where I talked about the lu roll, like this stewed meat. I've had previous videos where I talked about the potato strips, turoso. Cucumber, huangguaso. Like strips of cucumber, huangguaso. Cilantro. This is lettuce. Well, that's a cilantro stem. Cilantro is called xiangcai. Lettuce is called shengcai. Sheng means like, it's the same character that's used in like when things are born, to be born. It means fresh or newborn or something like that. But so with lettuce, it just like lettuce is a crisp, refreshing food. So shengcai. And then there's this dry tofu strips, gan豆腐丝. I think that's everything that's in here. But like I said, everything in this individually has been in a bunch of other dishes I've had on this channel. But, they're just common ingredients that tend to just get reused with slightly different sauce or something. And that tends to be a theme in a lot of Chinese cooking. There tends to be a lot of just reuse of the same kind of ingredients, perhaps cut a little differently, oftentimes all prepared the same way. just different sauce. And here, this is wrapped up in a wrap. Sometimes you put it on rice. Sometimes you put it on noodles. Sometimes you get the wraps yourself and you make it yourself. Sometimes they're making the wrap. You know, there's about a million different ways you can just kind of serve all these same ingredients with like slightly different sauces and different preparations. And they tend to all kind of be, it gives you variety, but it's still like a lot of the same things. So like, it's kind of just a feature of a lot of the cuisine that you have here. All right, well, I'm gonna go get some salt and pepper and season up this Joe porridge, and so it tastes a little better. But I'll talk to y'all on the next one.